Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, November 2nd, and for 2 days into a month, man, we have gotten a lot of news to
A
go
lot of
over.
news.
I mean, it just like snowballed down the hill, everything coming at us. We got Fed news, we got employment news, we've got some good news from the state of Florida, which is real nice. And then we got some, we got to kind of watch these ones type of news today.
Yeah.
So let's, our buddy Powell, he was out yesterday, in public.
There is a sighting. He saw a shadow.
Yeah, we saw a shadow, and Fed Reserve holds interest rates. So is that he sees a shadow or he doesn't see a shadow? Which one is that?
For us, I feel like he saw I don't know. Like he doesn't. All I know is he's held, and the consensus is that we're going to make it through the end of the year potentially, right?
Yeah.
No more. Like that's an 80% people expecting that we're going to hold where we are, which is great. And I think a lot of that was because for a change, we saw Powell kind of take an approach where, he always kind of does that double talk or kind of, he can't really say too much, right? But he kind of implied that, hey, we're feeling it a little bit.
Yeah, he actually kind of said like, well, the job market softened up a little bit. Even though consumer spending was up, as we mentioned last week, he's like, they're kind of doing it on the backs of credit.
Yep.
Which he felt was a little nervous. And his feeling was kind of like, well, I'm not sure how long that can last.
Exactly. And he took but he always counterbalanced with but the economy's resilient, right?
Yes.
The American people are right. And so we saw a lot of that. Like he would start down one and then kind of pivot back the other way. But I think what we saw was, and what kind of all these people, like kind of everybody that's projecting rates of hold, all the important people that are a little more important than us, that are included in that chart. Don't know why we haven't gotten our invite yet. But what kind of made me realize was okay, I think everybody saw hey, this is a different tone than we've seen from him recently.
Yeah, in the past couple months, he was more aggressive in the tone. But I mean, let's go back and look at that again. And you see for the December meeting right now, 80% are feeling that he's going to hold again.
Yeah.
That maybe this is the peak. Maybe this is as high as he goes. And an interesting question was, did the Federal Reserve put a recession back on the table in their discussions? That was a question that came out yesterday, and he came out and said, no, we did not. So maybe they're trying to straighten the plane out a little bit, and hit the throttle so not quite so bumpy when we come down.
We'll see. I still think we'll come out, and at a certain point they'll be like, well, we were in a recession. They're not going to admit it until after the fact. That's how it works. So I'm not sure. We're going to hit a little bit of bumpiness, some choppiness. We're going to see but hopefully it's not going to be bad. I think a lot of this came to light with some of the economic in regards to employment numbers and so forth. This kind of played a little bit of that tonality we saw in the Fed, because Fed was in the afternoon, the meeting in the afternoon, Powell talking later, and a lot ADP of these numbers came out in the morning. So ADP.
Yeah, and you only saw, I think this is 2 months in a row, it's been in the low hundreds.
Yeah. And they were projecting, I think this one was, they were projecting 150. We came in at 113. And I think that was kind of, they expected to come much hotter because it was so low before. A lot of the people said the ADP numbers were off before, and ADP kind of held its hand. It was like, no, we're doubling down. It's not strong. And I think this time
ADP doesn't revise their numbers like the government.
Maybe not as big of revisions. Yeah, they revised, but not like we don't see massive revisions, right? Like it might be, a 1, 2, 3% change. Whereas, sometimes with some of these bigger other reports, we see a 20, 30% correction on a revision.
Right. So, you've got 2 months in a row now where, you really haven't seen a whole lot of job growth, according to ADP, which is your, the private sector payrolls. So you've got that. And this was very interesting. This is an article that came out of Money this morning. And home contract cancellations across the country are averaging about 16.3%. So they're up quite a bit. But look at this, coming in at number 3.
Orlando, Florida. So our local
Orlando,
market,
Florida.
In Florida, Florida's trying to take one for the cakes. Like you got Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, Miami. So 4 of the top 10 coming from, from state of Florida. Why do you think that is?
I think it's it's been the volatility in the interest rates, because there's days where 9 o'clock in the morning you're talking to one of your clients and it's this, by 9:30 it's this, by 10 o'clock it's this.
Yeah.
So you've got that. So you got that going on. But also I think part of it is when you put the quotes together, some people I think are quoting a lower payment on the home insurance rates. And we're finding that those home insurance rates sometimes are double what we quoted. You got, you may have someone quoting, it'll probably be about 150, but you find out it's 250 or $300 a month. I think that could be a very big, because all of a sudden you were planning on a $2,500 a month payment, and you're sitting maybe at $2,700 or $2,800, and we know how close everyone is on their DTI to begin with.
Yep.
That 50% mark that we kind of work off of. And
I think that's kind of where it plays
those people up over that, and all of a sudden they're like, we can't do this.
Yeah. And the other side of that too is possibly a lot of people are getting pre-approved, and 2-3 months ago, they're seeing that payment breakdown 2-3 months ago for an estimate, and then they're not communicating or talking to that loan originator. So when the market and the rates go up, now they're going under contract and they're going, whoa, this interest rate's higher than what I thought it was going to be. And it plays to that payment. It's kind of that double edge. We're seeing the insurances are higher and the payments are higher. I think both those things are really playing into it with a lot of this, because we've been kind of shielded for a while on cancellations, but we're starting to see a little bit more, we're at a price point now, I think, where that monthly budget are already experiencing the top.
Yeah.
And it gets scary if it pushes a little bit higher than the top that they were, like the tip top that they were willing to go. And now it's even above that.
Yeah. And it's, people just are sitting back thinking about it and going, I can't do it. I'm just not comfortable. Yeah. And I mean, I've actually talked to a couple associates. One of my associates in South Carolina, her husband yesterday, engineer, worked with a company, like 20 years, got laid off yesterday. And these companies decided to do a complete reorganization, and a number, where was it? It was the top management that all got let go, that all got laid off. And I was like, wow. And they were just they were completely shocked about that, but overall, the bond market, and this is kind of interesting, because look at this morning. You're gonna have a nice day today, Joe.
It started pretty. Like I'm hoping not to give it back. I do have a propension to think that we're gonna have a really good rally. Then yesterday, huge day, like 70+ basis points on on the MBS. Today we're like up 30. I think maybe we finish this week. I think we see a little pullback tomorrow. But I think there's a good chance that by next week, we're back to where we started this week, if that makes sense. Like, I think we're going to get a lot of it back.
It is that ebb and flow. I wonder if part of this is Yellen actually came out yesterday with the numbers on the bond releases, and they were actually under that much. I mean, not a whole lot, but yeah, they actually didn't borrow as much as they said they were going to borrow.
Well, and I think, and I will give, like, this is one of the few times I'll say something positive, right? Like, you've got Yellen, and I think like I've seen in the news, a lot of people are giving flack about not refinancing, our debt into long-term debt and so forth at the lower rates. Well, there are kind of like some proxies of like how much can be short-term, how much can be long-term, and so forth. But let's also think about this, like, where was the appetite, right? And like, there wasn't really going to be an appetite to bundle up billions upon billions and billions of dollars of debt, American debt, into 20, 30-year notes. Like, it wasn't. Like, that's just not going to happen. And
really, come on.
And if she had done that, what I think would have happened is Powell and the Fed would have had an even harder time dealing with what they're doing if all of a sudden all that debt that she had was bundled up, in 2020, 2021 at those lower rates. Like, I think we would have seen we may have actually seen a much harder escape right now as an economy as a whole than what we're going to see.
Yeah. I mean, it's always easy to be that Monday morning quarterback, and, there's more than what we see.
It's easiest to be the Monday morning. It's pretty hard to be the Thursday morning.
Yeah. So we've got all this going on, but there's still, and I wonder if some of this came into Powell's mind as well, is because we've been talking about the commercial mortgage-backed securities for a long time.
Like, if you watch our videos, we've talked about this a lot.
And I think one of the big things, and we had talked about this, about a week ago, or about a month ago, excuse me.
Yeah, a month ago now.
Yeah, that WeWork could possibly be filing bankruptcy.
And now we're seeing the news article. See, we're just a month ahead.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep.
Can we put these skills and start, playing some, like the stock market a little bit better?
Yeah, we got to start playing.
Could have sorted WeWork. No, but this is a big piece, right?
Yes, it's very huge.
So you got to remember, WeWork is, how big of a company is WeWork as a whole?
Where they got 14 million square feet, something like that. I mean,
wow.
Commercial space.
That's a lot.
All over the country. All over the country. So you got to realize all these leases have just gone bad.
They've all gone bad.
All gone bad.
Which means those commercial property owners have lost these leases.
Have lost all this revenue, all this income for their buildings.
So now that building's going to see a drop, right? They lost the revenue. Now they're going to struggle. Are they going to be able to make their notes, like their payments?
Notes. Exactly.
What does that kind of continue to happen? We lose these leases. Like, these leases in a way have been, like this WeWork and a lot of these, like, they've been holding up the commercial market a little bit.
Yep.
So
it's amazing when you look at it. They were worth one time, this is like a couple of years ago, $47 billion.
Wow.
And I think their stock closed yesterday at like $1.23, something like that.
Ouch.
So this is something that's going to resonate through the commercial market.
Yeah.
And I mean, you just think, I forgot how New York City is actually probably their largest hub of space. And they're just, you look at all these landlords that are just going, oh my gosh, even if they restructure, they're going to lose tremendous amounts of money.
Yep.
So it's over the next couple months, as this washes through, gets into bankruptcy court. It's going to be interesting to see how much this affects some of these commercial property owners. And again, goes back to community banks. So that's one of those where you're just kind of like, well, this is something we really, really got to watch overall. So it's just been it's been some good stuff, some bad stuff, but one thing that is really, really nice to see is yesterday they came out, they officially announced it. Hometown Heroes is back. This could give a nice little boost to the end of the year here in Florida.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with it, the Hometown Heroes program was opened up this July to anyone who works full time in the state of Florida.
Yep.
And it could give up to 5% of the purchase price to be used for down payment assistance, for closing cost assistance. And they started out with $100 million. And that $100 million was gone in 60 days.
Yep.
And I think we had mentioned that, boy, it would be nice to refill this, to be able to have some more money. But we kind of thought it would have to wait till the legislative.
Yeah, session. I was expecting them to wait till session, in January to announce for them to roll it back out in July. That's what I expected.
Yep. But there were rumors, and the October 27th meeting, they decided to fund an additional $36 million for this.
Yep.
Which, when you break it down based on their previous numbers, you're looking at roughly 2,300 homes that can be purchased through this program. It's not a lot, but boy, is it nice.
Yep.
So if you've been hesitant, this could be what can help you get over the hump.
There's more inventory on the market, right? Like,
yep.
You've got this fund, but you got to act quick because this will be gone 30 days tops.
Yeah, based on how quickly it went last time,
so Hometown Heroes has always had kind of like fallout kind of funds that had, and like, just to give you an example, Tuesday. So every Tuesday they would update funds. Like this past Tuesday, there's $2.5 million available, and it was gone before the end of the day. Like it moves. And now that there's a bigger surplus and it's back out there, I expect us to see, I would say next week, I expect $3+ million a day to go each day next week.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's something we'll keep an eye on, but reach out, get your pre-approvals ready, and just get out there because, like Joe said, this will not last. And it's a nice welcome surprise that no one was really expecting whatsoever. So it's a great program. And, if you're planning on staying in that home for, 7-8 years, it works out really well for you.
Yep.
So we got that. That was great news. And then we're just going to kind of hop into our numbers for the week. And we kind of pulled back. We had that nice little bump last week where we jumped to 428 homes, and we pulled back down to 354. And our inventory up again, another roughly 150 homes. Condos, we pulled back there as well, and our inventory increased a little bit again. So we're seeing that steady increase of inventory, which again is helping right here. The original list price to the final sales price, we had dropped into the high 94%, but we're holding right there at that 95. So again, if you're looking at a $400,000 house, that's about $20,000 that you figure is open to negotiation. And right now, hey, use it for your buy downs. If you've got the money for closing, buy down that rate.
Yeah.
Especially with the little bit of drop that we have. So we may hit, we may be back down maybe 7.5 today for a little bit.
Possibly. I think seeing today go positive, you'll see a little bit better pricing. I think yesterday was kind of like, even though we saw a lot of lenders were like, all right, when's the pullback coming? So seeing some good pricing today, we should see some aggressiveness. What I don't want to see is a full reversal of the market, right? Like I don't want us to have 30+ points today and then tomorrow lose 50. because then you're going to see lenders take a very conservative stance again.
Yep. And I don't blame them. It's been all over the place. Excuse me. So you see our weekly sales, our graph, we've really held below that average line now for several months in a row.
Yep.
And I think going into the final 2 months of the year, I think that's probably where we're going to be sitting overall, is that 350, 400 range. Even with the pullback a little bit, because it's not as big a pullback as I think we really need to make people jump. And then here's that inventory just continuing to climb. Now we're up nearly 15% over the beginning of the year. We did take a little dip on our days on market, which was kind of nice. And then those people pulling off temporarily, we're actually staying fairly consistent and withdrawn. That's not going anywhere kind of crazy at all. And then in the condo market, we're seeing roughly the same thing, sitting there right around that 95% original list sales price. But we are seeing that days on market, that 52 days, is staying high. It's not pulling back at all. So here you see, if you draw a line, it's straight down for the condos.
Yep.
And again, a lot of that, I think, quite honestly, is insurance. Some of these condo associations have just, I got a couple of clients who wanted to try and keep their association fees at 300. And right now, that's below 400 is tough to do.
Yeah.
And it's because a lot of these places, $100, $125 plus addition per month this year for the insurance, strictly because of insurance increases.
Yep.
Nothing more, nothing less. It's just, and you sit there and you look, okay, I've got $450 for HOA fee. How much of a house could that get me? And I think that's what a lot of people are looking at.
Yeah, I think exactly, because you're talking now what, that's 50 plus grand. It's a considerable amount.
Yeah, and when you look at the price of the condos, a 2.2 going at, $250,000, some of them almost $300,000. Like, okay, if I go to 350, I can actually have a house.
Yeah.
So it's something that people really got to look at overall. And then see our inventory, we're up nearly 40% over the beginning of the year with the condos. So we're getting that. We've hit a consistency. It's not a real jubilant, I guess you would call it, or exciting, but it is a consistency. People are always going to need to buy and sell houses, but it's structuring them properly. And the builder market, they're in the same situation. Their incentives are really aggressive right now. They've got to continue to move. You and I are working with a small spec builder. That we're looking to put a program together for him where he's offering buy downs as well. So it's just, I think we'll be consistent, but it's going to be a slower market. As a buyer, it's really turned to you. It really has, and especially when you look at that cancellation rate of nearly, was it one in four homes?
Basically, yeah.
1 in 4 are walking away from their contracts here in Orlando. That's a big number. That's a very big number.
You got some negotiating power now.
Yep.
You had some before. You definitely got some now.
You definitely got some now, because no one wants to put a house back on the market. There's people who got their moving trucks lined up, everything like that, and and all of a sudden it's like, guess what? We canceled.
Yeah, just to give you an idea, a story that was that hit my desk, and it was one of my team members. He had a house, buyer did final walkthrough, buyer had some issues. Seller was not willing to like, hey, like, and the buyer sat there and said, okay, great, I'll cancel. And the seller's response was, well, I'm taking your EMD. And the buyer who was putting 20+% down was like, okay, the house across the street is your same floor plan with your same upgrades, and it's 60,000 less active on the market right now. I'll lose my EMD and come out ahead. I'll cancel. Bye-bye. And guess what? That seller was willing to they were willing to work. And it just happened that the buyer was under contract for like 90 days. So they were locked in appraisal older because they needed time to sell their property, and it took longer. And it was, seller was trying to play, which I get it. Like, right. Like nobody wants to give up money at the finish line. But the buyer held all the cards right there because he's like, look, you really want to put it back on the market when that's active across the street?
Yep. Wow. Yeah. Use your leverage. That's actually, how do you fight it? You can't really.
Seller didn't. Seller signed that addendum fast.
Wow. Send electronic, send it over. So, well, thank you all for joining us. Please, again, like and subscribe. Join us every Thursday as we keep you updated on the market and everything real estate. Take care. Have a wonderful day.
Rocket. Have a great one, guys.